For over 70 years, innocent women were imprisoned and abused in Ireland's Magdalene institutions. The Magdalene Laundries are a dark chapter in Ireland's history. These institutions, run by religious orders, confined at least 10,000 women and girls, forcing them into unpaid labor and subjecting them to horrific physical and psychological abuse. They were isolated, given new names, and made to work long hours without any form of compensation. These women and girls were perceived as burdens on their families or the state, but who was really at fault? The reality was grim. Inside these institutions, women were isolated, given new names, and forced into unpaid labor. Stripped of their identities, confined in a world of silence and servitude, they were reduced to mere cogs in a machine that ground ceaselessly from dawn till dusk. Imagine a day that stretches out in endless hours of toil, your hands raw from the relentless scrubbing of laundry, your back aching from the unending needlework. Your every moment is dictated by a harsh regime that tolerates no dissent. Your spirit is crushed under the weight of ceaseless work, and your voice is silenced by fear and oppression. Refusal to work was not an option. Punishments were severe and swift. Meals, the meager sustenance that fueled their weary bodies, were withheld. Solitary confinement, a cruel paradox in a world already deprived of meaningful human connection, was a common penalty. And then there was the physical abuse, a dark undercurrent that ran through these laundries, a grim reminder of the unchecked power that governed their lives. Worse still was the psychological torment, the constant degradation, the perpetual fear, the crushing despair. They bore the invisible scars of a tormented psyche, a testament to the brutal regime they were subjected to. In the midst of all this, the state looked the other way. The very entity meant to protect the rights and liberties of its citizens turned a blind eye to the atrocities unfolding within the laundries. The lack of regulation, the tacit approval of the commercial dealings, the utter disregard for basic human rights. This was a damning indictment of a system that was meant to ensure justice and fairness. Many women believed they would die inside these laundries, and tragically, many did. The survivors of the laundries can be categorized into two groups: those who have spoken out and those who continue to live in silence. These brave women have lived through a harrowing experience of abuse and forced labor, their identities stripped away and replaced with anonymity. Some have found the strength to share their stories, to shed light on this dark chapter of history. They face their past with courage, hoping to spark change, to prevent such atrocities from happening ever again. Yet many others still bear the weight of their trauma in silence, the memories too painful to revisit, the shame imposed on them too heavy to shed. The state, supposed to be their protector, stood by as they were subjected to this inhumane treatment. They were used for detention and commercial dealings, their rights and liberties disregarded. This failure of duty is not just an indictment on the institutions that ran the laundries, but also on those who turned a blind eye. These women's voices may have been silenced by the institutions, but they can be heard again through our collective action. The story of the Magdalene Laundries is a harsh reminder of the injustices that can occur when human rights are ignored. We cannot undo the past, but we can prevent it from repeating. By spreading awareness of this grim chapter in history, we illuminate the dark corners where such atrocities can hide. We challenge each one of you, not just to remember the victims and survivors of the Magdalene Laundries, but to actively engage in the fight against human rights violations wherever they may occur. Share this video, spread the word, and together we can ensure that history does not repeat itself.